Welcome y'all to the Mental Wealth Podcast, the show where we talk about the investments that last longer than money. And I'm talking about the economics of your soul, the ways that we can invest in ourselves and each other. I'm your host, Jay Floyd, man. And what am I, man? I'm a tech engineer. I'm a life coach. I'm an author. I'm a rapper, father, husband, all of these things. Sitting next to me is my lovely co-host, Clotia Mack. What's going on?
Hey, I am Clotia Mack. I am your sister, girlfriend, cousin, and I am also an empowerment coach. I am a teacher, an encourager, a lifter, a mommy, a friend, a sister, a minister. I think I'm every woman. I think I'm like Whitney Houston a little bit.
You did list off like every woman. So
you got that theme song for the background. That's me.
Oh, but yeah, we can't pay for the synchronization rights on that. But it's okay.
Next time I give you bars, I'll give you some.
Y'all heard it here first. The promise. Clo bars.
Yes.
Fire bars. Listen. Thank y'all for joining us. We truly appreciate y'all. We know we put up the Facebook page and we saw a lot of people liking us, even though we didn't have a new episode up.
Thank you.
We was like, yo, that's love. And that's also pressure. We got to come back.
Yes.
We got to come back and do it. So this month, today's episode is about Women's History Month / Women's Future Month, right?
Yes.
This is what March is, Women's History Month / Women's Future Month. I'm always going to say that.
Okay, and why? Tell them why.
You know, one of the things, and we agree on this, we've talked about this before, you know, one of the things we do in Women's History Month, in Black History Month, is too much focus on the history, right? We understand history is important. You got to know where you came from, but you also got to know you still are a part of that history. You still making it. There's people still out here doing it and still having huge impact, and you still out here doing it and still having huge impact. So it's important to remember, even all the stuff we study in history, it's still connected to us.
Yes.
This book is still being written.
Yes.
You know?
And so you're saying that women now are creating the history that the next generations will read about. And so our decisions are important. And even the way we pour into the younger generations, it's important because it is creating history. So one day somebody is going to be reading about your wife and your daughter and me and you. And so it's very important to know that this moment isn't just a moment. And what I've been telling people is that when the year of 2020 came, it was real crucial to understand that it wasn't just another year, it was another decade. So I said, we are 1/5 into another decade. How have you been dominating that?
That's deep.
And as a woman, it's more than just another year. It's the beginning of a new decade.
You know what? You think about that, like 100 years ago, back in the what we used to call the 20s, the 1920s, you know, you think about like flappers and people out there, doing the dance where they got their hands on the knees. What is that? The Charleston and all of that stuff. We think about that. And if you really study that era was known for women's empowerment too. That was for that time.
Okay.
They was breaking ceilings and boundaries. It was like, wow.
Okay.
You got flappers out here, you know what I mean? So it's like, this is the 20s again.
Ooh.
We're doing it again. Like to your point.
Come on.
People gonna be in the history books reading about what the women of the 20s did right now.
Oh my goodness. That's exciting. But on the flip side, Jay, I've been doing some research as I was talking to the men, as I was talking about earlier to you, and still women only make 82 to 85 cents for every man's dollar, even if they do the exact same job. And even though there is an increase of women going into STEM, there is still only 28%, and you know, because that's a thing.
Shout out,
women represented. And so we coming on strong, but we still got some more left in us in regards to the takeover. Shout
out Black in Tech. Shout out Black women in tech. It's a huge movement of Black women taking over tech. I will preface this by saying, you know, the millennial generation, you know, they're partaking in what's called the Great Resignation right now, right? Where they're leaving their jobs and they're taking their careers into their own hands. And a lot of them, at the forefront of this movement is Black women, right? A lot of people won't say that, but it is. And I gotta say, from the ones I've seen, man, listen, so much courage. Like, I'm talking about courage that made me uncomfortable. I mean, like, they ain't taking it.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I consider myself pretty progressive, but I still have found myself going into workplaces in the past where it's like, you gotta blend in, go along to get along, act like you like golf, don't talk about your family history and the neighborhoods you was born in. These young women are not having it.
No, and check this out, Jay. They don't even necessarily have a plan B. They just I know plan A is not for me, and so I'm out. And so I'm like, whoa. And so
they would plan not A.
Exactly.
That's it.
So you said the great resignation is being led by women.
Yeah. And I've seen like some confrontations online of women that are like, look, what you just said and what you're doing is racist. It's sexist. And I'm like, yo, they do this in public. You could get blacklisted. You could not get a job. You could lose your... Listen, that takes courage. So one of the things I want to preface this show with, man, is one, shout out to all the women doing their thing. Even the women who haven't felt that courage to step out there and do that yet. Shout out to all women doing their thing in the world right now. Because listen, patriarchy is real. It's real. And as men, we need to learn that even black men, we benefit from privilege. Men have privilege. And I know a lot of people don't want to talk about that word. Yeah, I know, right? You shake up the world with that word.
Go there.
But you got to understand, it's no different than what I explain to any white man. And I've had this conversation with white men. When you're in a white male culture, which we all are, and you're a white male, you're a fish in water. You don't even know it's water. This is natural to you. That's why to them, they're just like, why you gotta bring up race? Why can't everything just be okay? Everything just be normal? Because to them, it's normal. You gotta step outside yourself and see what it would be like for somebody that don't look like you. Same goes for men and women, even black men with women, right? We gotta step outside ourselves and understand. One of the things, I had this conversation once before, and I was so struck by it, I had to take it to my dudes. Me and my wife was having this conversation, and we're talking about the fact that sometimes if she's somewhere at a certain hour, if it's dark, she got to think about when she go in her car, walking out the door, who could walk with her. I ain't never in my life had to think that hard. Now, I might be in some seedy, nasty neighborhoods and maybe keep my head on a swivel because I know what I'm doing. But I ain't never had to really be like, yo, do I need somebody to accompany me to the road? No. So that's a complete foreign concept. I got to step outside of myself to understand what somebody is living, the reality that they live in. And it goes way beyond that.
So, Jay, you said something that's interesting because this is what my ex told me. He said, men don't have empathy, because I think what you're talking about when you said I have to step outside of myself to understand how somebody else is living. Do you agree with that statement? And do you think that that is a hindrance, if that's true, that men need to be empathetic to the women, when we talk about women's history and women's future, that men don't have empathy? And is that something that's hindering our relationships? Or is it that you all just don't have it to the degree that we have it?
Well, I mean, as a blanket statement, now we know that's not true. Men got empathy. As a culture, are we normalized to squash it down?
That's the thing.
Yeah, from a child, you're told a lot of stuff, but it's up to you to determine how much of that you're gonna buy into, right? Now, for me in my life, a lot of that stuff I opted out of. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. But even that, even to me, I still feel like I got so far to go because I still got so many blind spots because it's just natural, right? Like one of the things I learned when I got married, when you start going through what marriage is really about, and somebody asked me, yo, do you consider your wife's opinion? And I was like, yeah, of course. What you talking about? Raised by a woman, bruh. Raised by a single mom. What you talking about? My mom taught me, right? They was like, no, but do you consider her opinion equal to yours?
Oh, there was that extra piece on that little tail.
What's that extra tail?
That's what stopped you, that tail.
The extra tail.
So what did you think?
And I was like, nah, because I'm not one of them kind of people that just shut stuff down. I'll be like, I gotta take that back to the lab. I gotta go back. You know what I'm saying? I gotta do what I call,
ladies and gentlemen.
I do this thing that I call, I'll put it on.
I like that.
I'll be like, what if that is true?
Yeah.
What would that look like? Oh, it is true. You know what I'm saying? And it's the fact that, I didn't consider my wife's opinion equal to mine. If I went back and looked at every conversation, it's like, I'm bringing my wife into decision making, but I done already thought about it and decided what I think is the best.
Ooh-wee.
I done already thought, you know what I'm saying? That ain't considering her equal. So, yeah, the answer to that was no.
Was she in the lab with you, or that was something that you just
No, you got to do that on your own.
Okay,
you got to do that on your own. And a lot of times you should go back to your dudes, right? I think this is a step that I learned, is to go back to my dudes.
Okay.
And be like, yo, there's some things that I've been learning. Have y'all thought about this? And my dudes, they real open. They'll be like, yo, that's what's up. Or they might be like, nah, you bugging, but they will think about it. Yeah, you know, I don't got them dudes that's like, nah, man, get out of here. Nah, they ain't like that, man. You know, my dudes is like, they open-minded about it. Yeah.
So it sounds like that the community of women need a community of men, because this is what I heard you say. You go back to your dudes, but this is about a woman's issue, right? But when you go back to them and you all have that discussion, then it transforms your thinking, which transforms your marriage, which transforms your relationship, not just with your wife, but with every woman that's in your life. So I tell men, don't pay attention to this harper. No, you know, man, we need y'all. We really do. It's not just want. We really need you. So that community there influences and heals this community here. And it's not done in isolation.
Completely agree. Dudes got to go to their dudes. Women need to go to their women.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Y'all don't really need us to validate nothing. You know? I think there's too much of that going on. You know what I'm saying? It's like, y'all validate yourself. Y'all know that. Women know that. You know what I'm saying? I think we done had the ball too long. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you get, it's like in college basketball, they got the possession arrow. We done had the possession arrow on like every loose ball. You know what I'm saying? It's time for us to just be like, yo, we gonna listen to what y'all got to say, man. Even if we don't agree, because you can't expect everybody to evolve instantly. That's not how evolution works. Some people gonna hear it and be a brick wall, and then 10 years from now be like, yo,
I get it. That listening piece, I think, is so key. I was going to ask you this, but I think I know the answer to that about the great resignation, that in our hearts, I think every woman just wants to be seen. And women who are walking off of jobs, even without a plan B, are in essence saying, you don't see me. So if you don't see me, there's no way that you value me, because you have not seen me first. You haven't seen all of who I am. So how can you value all of who I am? And that's even in relationships. I met someone and he's like, oh no, I want to be with you. I said, but you don't know me. I can discern. I said, no, it's not about discernment. You haven't seen me or known me to choose me. I can't trust your choice because you don't know me. You haven't seen me. And so, no, we don't need
you don't know me to choose me, so I can't trust your choice.
Trust your choice. So, no, we may not need your validation, but we so badly need to be seen by you. We need to be seen. Don't we need to be seen by them? We need to be seen by you.
Hey, I received that. And in that vein, what this episode is going to be, I'm going to be listening. Fellas, I hope y'all going to be listening, because we need to understand, one, we need to put a large respect on women's history and women's future as it's being built.
Yeah.
So let's roll with it, Chloe. Right. What you got, Keish? Can I start with a? Should I start with a figure?
You got some things over here going on. I need to hear this. I have not heard this, so excuse the facial expressions for whatever he's about to say.
Listen, I love history. I love studying people. Life stories is my thing.
Really?
That's my thing.
You're a good storyteller, too.
That's my number one strength. Number one strength. Shout out everybody out there. Get to know your strengths, man. If you don't know how to do that, find you a coach like me or Chloe, and we'll walk you through it. But listen, I want to give a couple of really short, I'm going to start with this first one, really short bios of women with high impact.
I'm ready.
High impact women. If y'all never heard of these people, ain't no shame, because society will put a blanket over a lot of women's important figures. So ain't no shame. This is not one of them, oh, you ain't know? Nah, but if you ain't know, go Google them and go look it up, right? And get to know these people. Number one, Dolores Phillips. Right? Dolores Phillips she's an author. She was born in Georgia. She's a graduate of Cleveland State University. Woo! Shout out CSU Vikings. My former school. I would say I'm an alum. Can I say I'm an alum if I didn't graduate?
You could say you attended.
I attended. I was there. I spent some trimesters there. Dolores Phillips, born in Georgia, graduate of Cleveland State University. Listen, she worked as a nurse in a facility for abused women and children in Cleveland. Her whole life, she went with a book in her. She wrote one book, y'all. One book. But this book, I just finished reading it a couple of months ago. This book, probably the equivalent of like 20, put her on stage. Like if you look up Toni Morrison, Dolores Phillips' name is gonna be bouncing around. That's from one book,
so
y'all.
Don't take 3 or 4.
It don't take
Lesson,
3 or 4.
Life hack.
She wrote one novel. It's a fiction story called The Darkest Child. And man, listen, it's about Cleveland, it's about the South, it's about blackness, it's about single mothers, it's about absentee fathers, it's about growing up, it's about colorism, being dark skinned. Man, listen, there's so much in this book that hit me in the heart. It will, I guarantee you, it's gonna hit anybody who grew up around us and the way we live and the things we saw. It touched all of that, man. This one book.
And drop her name again.
Dolores Phillips. The book is called The Darkest Child. Man, I swear, if y'all don't go out and read this thing, man, even if you don't get into the pages, go get you the audio book, man. Yeah.
So, okay, so that's history. Let's go future.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you what I pulled from that when you flow in whatever it is that you're flowing in, it's not about quantity, because we measure success in quantity, right? Oh, 100 people like our podcast, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000
million,
liked our podcast.
couple million.
And so we're successful, right? But when you said she wrote one, I felt that when she wrote one book and it was equal to 20. And someone could have said, oh, she just wrote one book? Like, if she was all that, why didn't she write a follow-up? But one book of her story, of people's stories that changed you, a black man, with one book.
Listen, I'm a huge Toni Morrison fan. Huge. But this book, man.
Is it long? Is it a long read?
I'm a tough judge because I like long stories, so it wasn't too long.
Okay.
But yeah, man, listen.
You gotta tell your story.
Yeah.
You have to tell whatever that means. It may not be book. It could be on your job. It could be with your family, but owning your story without the shame. I think that a lot of people, especially women, there's so much shame and guilt that we carry with our stories that we forget that we can compartmentalize. We can deal with the hurt and the shame and the guilt and tell the story, and it's going to crack open so much healing and revelation for other women.
Yeah.
So it's like that whole idea. My therapist, I was talking to my therapist and I told her about how my mom was like kind of a perfectionist. She was really hard. She said, typically that comes from shame. And I literally just broke down crying. Ooh. And my mother is no longer here. And I said, Mom, I love you. Ashamed of what? You were a great mom. You didn't have to be ashamed. And I saw my own tendencies of, perfectionism. Oh,
you took it back to the lab.
I took it back to the lab and said, is there a place of shame in my own life? Oof. Even getting ready to be 50 this year, are there places of shame that makes me want to have everything in order and have everything to look good and be right? And so I'm digging into it. I'm still in the lab. My lab coat is in my car, but I'm still in the lab on that one. Man, dealing with issues of shame and guilt, right?
First of all, you hit some serious dirt and meat on that one, man. Like, whoo! Man, for one, you talked about everybody having a story. Yeah. You need to get it out. If you don't get out your story, people don't know you. Yeah. They don't know they can't see you. How they gonna see you?
Yes.
And so how can they value you?
Yes.
And hey, listen, you got to tell that story.
Who's your next person, Jay?
Oh, you want some more?
I want some more, dude.
You want some more?
Away. The Darkest Child. Write it down. Write it down.
All right, I'm going to go to one which everybody should know. But again, I'm not going to use the word should because I know it can evoke some shame.
You definitely right. Say, I'm ashamed.
Yeah, you know, I don't want nobody to be shamed. But listen, next one, Shirley Chisholm. Come on, y'all.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay. No shame. I know her.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Shirley Chisholm, known as Fighting Shirley.
Ooh.
The first black woman elected to Congress, serving the first of how many terms? 7. 7 terms. First black woman to ever seek the nomination for president of the United States from one of the 2 major parties. People be talking about Hillary Clinton. Shirley Chisholm was running for the Democratic nomination in 1972. Go look it up. There's a documentary on her on either Netflix or Amazon, one of the 2. I can't remember. She fought for racial and gender equality, man. She opposed the Vietnam War. And listen, she just kicked her foot in it. She got up there looking just like my grandma and my great aunt from church. And they was like, yo, you got to change your image. You got to do this. She was like, I'm going to look like what I look like. I'm going to look like what I look like and go up in there. She kicked that door open. So yeah, I know no disrespect to anybody who loves Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris, but listen,
girlfriend was doing it back
Shirley
in the day.
Chisholm and all of y'all young folks, if you haven't, ain't no shame. Go look her up. You will be empowered by it. Trust me, you will feel stronger.
I know I am.
Yeah.
1972?
1972.
Yeah, I was born.
She was running the big signs. My mom used to talk about Shirley Chisholm all the time.
Wow. So Jay, do you think that there's a blessing that comes with being the first? Definitely being the first black, definitely being the first black woman. But what's the flip side of that? What's the responsibility?
Well, for one, it probably tore her up. Probably tore her up because one, she was destined to lose.
Yeah.
And she knew that. She knew she couldn't win, but you can't show that. You know what I'm saying? 1972, she knows she's not gonna win, but she is gonna win.
She still showed
you
up.
see what I'm saying? Yeah, she won in life. You know, and that's one of the things I think anybody who's gonna be the first in something or look to compare themselves in any way, and this goes for a lot of women out there as y'all doing y'all thing, man. God gonna give all of us an individual challenge. Your challenge might seem like it's this, and somebody else's might seem like it's that, but it just is what it is. You can only live the life you was given. Win it.
Yeah.
Win it. If you just approach the challenges you got and win them, you're gonna have your impact. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure at some point they thought Shirley Chisholm would just be a flicker in the pan and nobody would know. Here we are for 40, 50 years later talking about Shirley Chisholm.
Right. Fighting Shirley.
And people out there listening, getting power from her running a losing campaign. Do your thing. Win.
I love that, running a losing campaign.
Exactly.
I think one of the blessings of being the first is that you get to make the mold.
Woo.
And it's for some people who aren't sure, right? Then you're like, okay, so how is this supposed to look? What am I supposed to do? Well, I don't have nobody. Oh, because I'm the first. But then when you flip the script and realize the blessing in being first, that you get to create a path for, like, oh, I'm getting ready to create how it's supposed to look. Yeah. And so this is a good thing. Like, they're going to follow after me and do it their way, but I was the first, So wow. I'm going to look her up more because those things that you said, like, of course we know the name, but I didn't know those things that you said.
And it's March. It's Women's History Month. / Women's Future Month. Everybody should be going out and watching that documentary at least.
Yes. Reading.
You know what? I'm a big reader.
Yes, me too.
I think everybody should. And if people are not hip, you can go get audiobooks from the library for free. You ain't got to go to Amazon. You ain't got to give Jeff Bezos no more money than he already got. He don't need it. You can go to the library and get stuff for free, man. Get your audiobook or get you the digital ebook. Do your thing, man.
You're Googling articles. I've been Googling articles. I Googled an article on overcoming daddy issues. And I took notes and journaled about it. So it wasn't a book. It wasn't something that I had to commit to, this thick book. It was one article that gave me tips about how to get over daddy issues, how to overcome an abusive narcissistic relationship. So what we've been talking about really is intention. That's what we've been talking about. And we have got to be, if we're going to dominate the next part of this decade, we have to be intentional with every day, every moment. What are you doing that's intentionally helping you to dominate?
Tell me about that, Chloe. I can't let that pass.
What?
First of all, you said daddy issues. We need to sound an alarm when that word gets thrown. Because, man, listen, that's so big. It's so big. And it's not just for women, but we are talking about Women's History Month right now. Tell me, what are you doing in that area? What work have you been doing? Because so people can know, right? Because more is caught than taught, right? Show people what's going on.
Okay. So my girlfriend, her and I were talking. She's just recently married. And we were talking. She said, Chloe, you're going to have to really forgive your dad. Because those daddy issues it's going to mess up your relationship. When he comes, it's not going to be good if you don't get over those issues. And I thought I was over it. But see, when you're in tune, so tears started to fall, which was my cue that there was still some daddy issues in there. It was some pain, some shame, some
Yeah.
So instead of running from it, I ran into it because I know if you run from the challenge, you run from the change.
Whew, wait a minute, rewind all of that. Instead of running from it,
I ran into it. I ran right into it. And I said, I know what I'm going to do. And this was my vow to God that whatever challenge he put before me, is me and him, we going to sit in it. So I looked up the article and realized that basically, Jay, the article said that as women, when we have daddy issues, we attract those men who are like our fathers because we are seeking to fix that relationship with our dads. Because I started to notice, why am I always in relationships where either he is physically or emotionally unavailable? I'm like, who else was physically My daddy was physically and emotionally unavailable. So, in essence, until I heal that part, men will be drawn to me who are also physically and emotionally unavailable. And in my effort to fix the relationship with my dad, I'm going to try to fix it.
It's going to go both ways, right? Because you said they drawn to you too.
Yeah. And so it's like
it's like a magnet.
We find each other. And so I said, okay, so this is what I need to do. I need to be intentional about my relationships, even my friendships. When I see that a man is either emotionally or physically unavailable, then I need to say from a healed perspective now, okay, how am I going to deal with this in a way that's not angry and understanding I cannot fix him. And even if I could help him, it's not fixing the daddy issue. So I now can become more intentional about choosing and like, red flag, because I now know what I am attracting.
So how do you heal that? How do you heal that pain?
First of all, you acknowledge it. A lot of times because I'm busy, you're busy. And so in busyness, we bury pain, right? Being busy. And so it is, again, running to it. I journal, I pray, I'm honest about it, acknowledging, just sit in it. It's a sitting where you sit in it and you let it kind of overtake you. And that's uncomfortable. But healing is, and that's why everybody won't do it, because it's like, it feels more like a breaking at first than a building. It's like, wait a minute, this feeling is supposed to feel good. It is a breaking. But it's uncomfortable and it's ugly.
It is a breaking.
And so I embrace that uncomfortable and ugliness. And over time, with intention, then it begins to heal. And I even just said this morning, like, I'm feeling better. But you let yourself I let my heart
not
break.
be okay.
Yeah.
I think that's something that all of us struggle with.
Definitely.
Right? Like, you don't want to not be okay.
Right. Is that what you mean? I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm blessed in the sea and in the field. Exactly. When I come and when I go. On top, never on the bottom.
And then you got stuff going on. Hey, my kid got a birthday party. I can't not be okay.
Right.
How am I not be okay?
I got work tomorrow.
You know what I'm saying? How you gonna not be okay?
I gotta sing on the praise team.
So it's like sometimes I find you gotta make time
to not be okay. Come on. Exactly.
You gotta put it in your schedule. I'm just gonna have to let myself.
This is the day I'm not.
For real. I'm not okay right now.
No, for real. And that's a part of self-care.
Because if you never feel it, you know what I'm saying? Because like, for me, my parents split up before I was born. Before a lot of people, they saw their father walk out. They seen that dude do that.
Yeah.
that pain been there from that day, you gotta feel that. You're that whatever age, you could have been 8 years old.
Yeah.
At 8, you can't feel it because you don't know how to process it. So your shock instinct is gonna kick in. But at 38, it's time to feel it, y'all.
Oh, at the most inopportune
It's time to feel that. You're gonna have to let yourself break down and be 8 for a minute.
Yeah.
And feel that your father walked out that door, because the healing is on the other side of feeling that. You human and something horrible happened to you.
Period.
You gotta feel it. If you don't, that's like eating something, never going to the bathroom. How that's gonna work?
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? How is that gonna work? It's toxic.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It is. I always say that sometimes we duct tape our feelings and put them in the closet, and then we hear
It's like
noise.
a body. Got them bodies.
What's that? They're like, oh, we will be heard.
Them bodies ain't dead, man.
We will be validated. And so I'm like, let me create space for this, because if they just happen to jump out at the wrong time.
You driving down the street, they banging on the trunk.
Dude.
They ain't dead yet, man.
No. And so, Jay, as a woman, I used to be very emotional. But then when I went into ministry, which is a whole nother podcast, but I was told by my pastors, no, we don't have time for that. You come in here to serve. You take care of all that mess at home Saturday night. When you come in here, basically stoicism. As soon as you hit the door, you're here for the people. You praying for the people. And so I went very quickly from feeling everything to feeling nothing. But being a daughter of the King, feeling nothing. How does
nothing
that
for yourself?
work?
You feeling for everybody else.
Yes, but nothing
for yourself.
So now at almost 50, I'm finding balance.
Yeah.
Of what to feel, and then that balance between feelings and facts, because facts are feelings and feelings are facts. So it's a tricky balance.
You gotta sit in that truth.
History / future.
A lot of it comes in the truth.
Yeah.
Face the truth. What I call truth paste.
Yeah.
Brush them teeth. Brush them teeth, man. You got it for real. You gotta do it, man. It's so like, even for me as a married man, there's plenty of times, and me and my wife value our relationship and being there for each other. But if I'm not okay and my wife rolled by like, you good? My first instinct is still to be like, I'm good, babe.
Yeah.
But that ain't the truth pace at all. That ain't. And if I don't say it, if I hold it into myself, that ain't doing neither one of us no favors. And now we're not even on the same page. We're not even living the same life.
I think our next podcast needs to be about that, this relationship and communication, and how do we help each other heal? Because the person who hurt me needs to help me heal. I love you,
the
white
person
man, but the black
who
man
hurt me
need
to help me heal. Let's talk about it.
I think we should crack that open.
Y'all heard that. That's a future episode. And by the way, as y'all are listening, go down to wherever this is, whether this is on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or the Gram, wherever y'all are seeing this, man. And give us some shout outs, man. Tell us what y'all think. Give us some comments. What do y'all want us to touch next? Yeah. What do y'all want us to touch on next? Give us a topic. We're going to hit it all. This is Mental Wealth. We're talking about every way that we can invest in each other and ourselves, man, in that real currency, the economy of your soul. So as we heading out, what are you going to leave us with? What kind of meat do you want to leave us with for women's history and women as they're making history, moving forward? You know, one of the reasons why I was really eager for you to touch on this, because I know you have a really good relationship with my wife. You've helped my wife tremendously, and she tells everybody about it. So what do you do when you're walking with women like that? How do y'all help each other get better and grow from common issues? Because we all see the same issues.
Yeah.
How do y'all help each other?
That's such a good question. I always advise women to, first of all, be a safe space. Because we're so used to being hard. We're so used to just moving forward and, like you say, stuffing it down, even with each other. Like, we find it hard.
Does that happen a lot?
It happens a lot. We find it hard to be vulnerable with one another. You
know what I've seen? Performance. It gets performative.
Yeah.
It's like, girl, oh yeah, girl. It's like, y'all keep it up here, way up here. Like, dudes is more like flat. Like, yeah, well, what up? We good. Women, it's like, y'all get together and it's like way up. Everything is high pitched and sharp. Even like, hey.
In your soul, you down here.
Yeah.
And I always tell women, do not take better care of your sewing than your soul. Your hair is popping, the lashes on fleek. These mine though, for real, y'all. It's a good mascara. I I know they look good. I ain't buy these, honey.
Woo, y'all better get it right.
It's a stroke to go with those. But we create safe spaces for one another. And once in that safe space, I can tell you that I've been hurt, even though it looked like I might have it all together. Like, girl, that's not that. Here's the journey that I've been on. And you can tell me that you're not okay, and then we link up and walk together.
How do y'all hold each other accountable without it making somebody feel like you saying they jacked up, right? Like, how do you even broach the topic of like therapy and stuff like that? Because I know a lot of people will be like, hey, what you talking about? You talking about you the one needed. I ain't the one. So what do you do for that? You know what I'm saying? How do you do that? How do you do that?
You know what, Jay? This is what I found. Years ago, I had a friend named Jessica, and we had a friendship contract. We actually had a friendship contract. And I didn't realize the power of that until now. We set those boundaries with each other and expectations. And so the expectation is I can tell you the truth in love, and you'll receive it even if you don't agree with it. And so in our friendship,
y'all wrote this down?
Oh, we wrote it down.
Whew.
And she was a time person, but I was not. And so I said, listen, I will not be at your house every weekend, but whenever you need me, I guarantee you I'll be there. We were very clear about what we could and could not expect from one another. And so when you're walking with women in healing, it is really just where you put it on the table. This is what I bring to the table. This is how I communicate. This is how I love. What can you receive that? And tell me so I can let you know if I can receive that, because maybe I'm a little more sensitive. So then you'll know, okay, so I want to tell her the truth, but in a certain kind of way. It's dialogue.
You're setting the table. We have
not been taught how to have dialogue.
Yeah.
We have not been taught how to set boundaries like grown folk.
That's
like
good,
take the pamper off, put on your thong, and set some boundaries and expectations for the relationship. Because you got to know. So when people come to me, what do you think? I said, do you want the truth? Like I preface it. Do you want the truth? When they say yes, all right.
Yeah.
Girl, you crazy. No,
you gotta set the table right.
You have to set the table.
You can't eat a steak unless it's set right. You're gonna need the sharp. You need the sharp knife. You ain't gonna need the butter knife.
And when it's done in a space of vulnerability and healing, when it's safe to say that, then you understand one another. It's something that's understood between women. Like,
because then they're not taking it like you saying I'm jacked up.
Not at all, because they know your spirit. They know they can discern by the spirit. Like, okay, she's saying this. And she's saying this, and this might be true. And so it's just honest and authentic communication at all costs.
And you put yourself into it too, transparency.
Absolutely. You're just coming in like, I have all the answers.
Yeah.
Sit at my feet. No,
because that's what people will think, right?
They will, because people like, but you, I said, honey, come on, let me tell you my story. Let's go get a Panera salad. Let me tell you what's going on.
Hey, we ain't gonna talk about how many discussions they're having at Panera, man. Panera is like, we got a tough conversation to have. That's the place, right?
It is the place. It is the place. It is the place. But authentic conversation at all costs.
That's dope. That's dope.
How you do that.
Y'all heard the word here. Y'all heard the word here. So again, you got any final thoughts? Anything you want to leave them with? One last diamond?
You know what?
One last diamond to drop?
They are the diamonds. They're making, you're making history. Every day that you wake up, I need you to be cognizant of the fact that you are someone's hero, whether you feel like it or not. We love the haters, but there are more people rooting for you, people who you probably will never meet, who need you to make it. And here's the good thing. You get to define what making it is. You don't have to, I've made it because I have this many followers, or I make this much money, or I live in this kind of house, or I got this flat stomach, this big booty. No, you get to define your making it. You get to define the place in history that you will set. Whatever you do with your dash, you get to define that, and it's powerful. If you're watching this and you're breathing, it's powerful, and I'm excited for you.
Y'all heard the word.
They heard the word.
This is Mental Wealth. I'm Jay Floyd. That's Chloe Mack. Thank you again for joining us, man. Please join us again next month, April. Tell us what topic y'all want us to hit. We will do whatever y'all say. We're going to hop on it, man. We love y'all. We love y'all. We love y'all.
We love you. Peace.